Hi, I'm Admiral Brad Cooper, the commander of U.S. Central Command. It's an honor to address conference attendees on the historic opportunity presented by Syria's ongoing transition. The Middle East Institute remains an important forum for thoughtful analysis of a region undergoing profound change. I want to thank MEI and especially Charles Lister for hosting this important conference and inviting me to provide an operational perspective 1 year since the beginning of Syria's transition. Unfortunately, I could not make it in person, but I appreciate the opportunity to provide this recorded message. The United States and Syria have a shared interest in preserving peace and stability across the Middle East. Since assuming command of CENTCOM in August, I've been privileged to visit Syria multiple times, including a historic trip to Damascus in September, where I initially met President al-Shara and became CENTCOM's first commander to visit what is clearly a vibrant city brimming with hope, possibility, and opportunity. Every engagement with President al-Shara and other Syrian leaders has been focused on partnering in new and different ways. And to that end, CENTCOM's lines of effort in Syria are threefold. First, we're sustaining our aggressive pursuit of ISIS in Syria. Second, we're supporting the integration of Syrian democratic forces with the Syrian government. And third, we'll coordinate and foster collaboration with Syrian forces. For our first line of effort in aggressively pursuing ISIS, relentless military pressure continues. U.S. forces, coalition teammates, and Syrian partners have been working together to eliminate remnants that remain in Syria. Just to give an example, in the month of October, U.S. forces advised, assisted, and enabled Syrian partners during more than 20 operations against ISIS, diminishing the terror group's ability to conduct local attacks and export violence around the world. We're also degrading their ability to regenerate. I believe that it's also important to address the displacement camps in northeast Syria. Right before I met President al-Shara for the first time in Damascus, I was able to visit al-Hol in person. This was actually my fourth trip to the camp, which reinforced my view of the need to accelerate repatriations. The impact on displaced persons devastated by years of war and repression has been immense. As I mentioned in a late September speech at the UN, continuing to repatriate displaced persons and detainees in Syria is both a humanitarian imperative and a strategic necessity. There has been progress for sure. We have gone from more than 70,000 people to now 26,000 people at al-Hol and al-Roj in the past 2 years, thanks to the efforts of so many to repatriate their citizens, and we're working with international partners to supercharge this effort. Repatriating vulnerable populations before they're radicalized is a decisive blow against ISIS regenerating. I'm encouraged by efforts of the international community to continue repatriations in 2026. Rooting out ISIS once and for all brings stability to the Syrian people, as will SDF's successful integration with forces led by the Syrian government, which is our second line of effort. SDF's successful integration with the Syrian government forces will lead to a more predictable and stable security environment. On March 10th, both sides agreed to the concept of integration. As discussions on integration continue between the Syrian government and the SDF, we stand ready to support and have been doing so in meaningful ways, including just last week in Damascus. I know that all parties view these conversations as important. Both sides are committed and we will stay engaged. Even today, as I film this, meaningful discussions are underway with the SDF on integration in the future. Equally important are CENTCOM's efforts to foster U.S. military collaboration with Syrian forces. This is our third line of effort. Cooperation with our Syrian partners is imperative to our collective success. Last month, as many of you know, the Syrian government joined the Global Coalition Against ISIS as its 90th member. The Global Coalition focuses on stabilizing and redeveloping areas formerly controlled by ISIS since their territorial defeat in 2019. And just the other week, we worked with the Syrian Ministry of Interior in locating and destroying 15 ISIS weapon sites in southern Syria. This operation eliminated over 130 mortars and rockets, multiple small arms, anti-tank mines, IED material, and illicit drugs. We have now had multiple instances of collaboration with the Syrian government to counter very specific ISIS threats. And as you may have seen this past week, I publicly praised Syria for the role their security forces played in interdicting weapons intended for Hezbollah. So these are the types of tangible security gains we can make on the ground through close cooperation with Syrian government forces. Eliminating the ISIS threat in Syria requires international participation, which is why our new partnership with the Syrian government offers new opportunities. I appreciate our Syrian partners focusing on this effort. I'm also grateful to U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, Ambassador Tom Barrack, for his leadership. CENTCOM will continue to play a very active role in supporting Ambassador Barrack's efforts to realize the President's vision of a prosperous Middle East and a stable Syria at peace with itself and its neighbors. We are highly involved in enabling the U.S. interagency to engage with the Syrian government in Damascus, supporting more than a dozen visits from the U.S. interagency and Congress just since last summer. And because I know it's on your mind, yes, we were also able to fit in a few three-pointers during basketball. That's well documented. So we at CENTCOM are all in on hoops diplomacy. It's a new form, but it's effective, I can assure you. So today, 1 year since Syria's transition began, we remain committed to the work ahead, laser focused on protecting our forces, defending the homeland, and ensuring that the defeat of terror endures. We will continue to work with our Syrian partners to pursue ISIS, support SDF's integration, and foster cooperation. We'll also remain vigilant despite the huge success we've seen in halting the brutal ISIS caliphate, and we will ensure that gains made under the leadership of my predecessor, General Eric Kurilla, are lasting. While much work remains, I believe there's great reason for optimism and hope about the historic opportunity ahead. A Syria at peace with itself and its neighbors can lead to a more peaceful and prosperous Middle East. And so again, thank you for inviting me to speak. I'm grateful. I hope you have a great conference. Here's wishing you all the very best. Happy holidays, and let's stay in touch. Thanks so much.